Welcome, everybody. And thank you so much for attending, for participating in this event. Today, I'd like to just start off with paying respects to the monastics. And so, all together, hang on, wait for it. Bow. 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 One of my deep appreciations of this lineage is the amount of respect for the elders, for the teachers, for the Buddha. I'm going to just give you a quick rundown of what's going to happen today. So we're going to have 5 precepts will be taken right away. We'll do a short meditation, and I will give a little thank you to the community for my service here and your participation in that. And then I forgot before I do that, we'll have Dhamma talks. Oh yeah, there's that. What was I saying about respect? I'm always in training. So we'll have Dharma talks. I'll say a little bit. The monks will lead us in the highest blessings chant. And then we'll have some community chat. Some people have volunteered to speak. And then Jessica will lead us in a forgiveness tradition, which you will find out about. You have papers here that speak on that. At 11 o'clock, we'll do meal prep. It's possible that timing will flex a little bit. So, and then 11:30 is meal cleanup. That's part 1. Part 2 will be starting at 1 and go till 4, and that will be the installation of Jessica, and then some words from the new board about taking care of our urban refuge. Is there any questions with that? The upstairs restroom is for monastics, so we use the 2 downstairs. If you can be rather quick, that'd be great, because we have a lot of people and there's usually a very long line. So with this, I will ask who is asking for the precept. Okay, Lake will lead us in taking the precepts.
Please turn to page 126 in the chanting book. Requesting the 3 refuges and the 5 precepts, we will be requesting from a group from a monk. Waiting for everyone to find the place. Waiting for the sound of wrestling to stop. So we'll bow 3 times. Bow. 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 Mayam Bhante Tisarena Saha Pancha Silani Yachama Dutiyampi Mayam Bhante Tisarena Saha Pancha Silani Yachama Tatyampi Mayam Bhante Tisarena Saha Pancha Silani Yachama.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tisaranakammanang nitithang.
Amavante.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Anatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature.
I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given.
I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given.
Kame sumichachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Amesu michachara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct.
I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from lying.
I undertake the precept to refrain from lying.
Sura mereya maja pamadatana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Sura meraya vacha pamadatana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to carelessness.
I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which leads to carelessness.
Imani pancha sikkhapadani silena sukating yanti silena bhoga sampada Silena niputing yanti tasma silang visota ye.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, so we'll have a period of meditation, about 20 minutes, and just take this opportunity to sit quietly. Just, beginning an event like this, which is a major transition for our community, and thinking in terms of what makes something a blessing, what makes things something that's auspicious, and certainly the kind of the intention, the heart that we bring to it is one of the most important things. So to and beginning the day with settling of the mind, settling of the heart, bringing attention and awareness to the fundamentals of our being. Breathing in, breathing out. It's actually not that complicated to live a human life. And but to let things settle and let clarity and awareness establish itself. So that just sitting quietly, being with the sense of knowing awareness. As the breath comes in, just being present with the physical body, being present with the awareness itself. Breathing out, being with the awareness, being with the knowing. This is our foundation for all things that bring blessings, that bring a sense of well-being for ourselves and for those around us. So we can just take this opportunity to sit quietly and settle the mind to begin the day appropriately. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. Okay, so today's a day of it's a retirement ceremony, and we've got a few of us as monastics to offer reflections, and in the interest of time, each will give a short reflection, and thinking in terms of retirement and transition, I think it's helpful to be reflecting on the okay. I mean, it's an ending. It's also a new beginning, and to be reflecting on the qualities that one wants to be bringing to mind, and also paying attention to, especially as a community, because it's not just the leaders that are either retiring or taking on new duties, but it's also the community. So just because it is a community endeavor, and I think that's one of the say this community, the Port and Friends of Dhamma, is say inspired by, informed by the tradition of Ajahn Chah and the Abhayagiri community and the Hermitage, but yeah, our roots go back to Ajahn Chah, and of course, and if somebody started praising Ajahn Chah too much, he said, it's not about me, it's about Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, the refuges, the fundamental refuges, and so that to be paying attention to how one can be making these refuges really relevant and central to our lives, both in our personal lives, but also in the running of the center. And I think one of the things that's important, and certainly Ajahn Chah placed tremendous emphasis on community. And when you start talking about community, it sounds really nice, but community means human beings actually living together and putting up with each other. So learning how to be Kalyana Mitta with each other, to be good spiritual friends, to be good spiritual companions, how to help each other, how to support each other, how to criticize each other at the appropriate times and in the appropriate way. It doesn't take a huge amount of intelligence to see somebody's faults and flaws. It takes a lot of wisdom to be able to be timely and skillful in how one lets people know, and so to do that with each other, and also to do that with the I mean, Jessica's going to be stepping into the role, and sometimes as a leader, people are, we do, as leaders, we do get an inordinate amount of authority, and it's important that we do have authority and can speak with authority, but it's also important that we receive skillful feedback. So that's the skill of being it's like Kalyana Mitta, and that's something that in terms of Sakula over the years has I mean, the reason why we're in a building this size rather than that dinky little office building that it all started in is Sakula has encouraged everyone to pay attention to that sense of Kalyana Mitta and being good spiritual companions, fostering that sense of spiritual friendship, and that's something that the Buddha himself again placed importance on, the very important discourse where the Buddha, Ananda, has this brilliant insight of that he figures is brilliant, and that half the holy life is having good spiritual friends. And then the Buddha sort of said, no, Ananda, it's not half of the holy life, it's the whole of the holy life. And so we, in this endeavor to take up the Buddha's teachings and to free the heart from its complications and suffering, we need each other. And that's something that and the Buddha also says, in the same way that the dawn is the harbinger of a new day, that the recognition of Kalyanamitta, being Kalyanamitta, having Kalyanamitta, is the harbinger of the Noble Eightfold Path coming to fruition for the overcoming of suffering, realization of truth. So it's the sense of cultivation. So as we go forward, reflecting back and with a lot of gratitude that this community has established itself this far with the leadership of Sakula, and that the leadership is transitioning to Jessica. But I think the mission remains the same, really, and it's important that it's not left to Jessica on her own to pull you along. It's like everybody needs to pull together to yeah, isn't that awful? It'll feel like that sometimes. But just recognizing that everybody has the opportunity to help each other out, to be Kalyanamitta to each other. So those are reflections for this morning. And there's a few of us to pass the mic around.
It's nice to be here on this occasion. Sort of transition, sort of in the leadership of this community, and just this morning, kind of reflecting back on our relationship with Sakula and the Friends of the Dhamma and this community here in Portland. Kind of born very much out of the faith and conviction that Sakula had upon kind of connecting with our particular sort of Ajahn Chah lineage through Ajahn Amro, and then later coming to Abhayagiri. And the timing of that sort of was very close to the timing of me kind of coming over and joining the community at Abhayagiri. So I wouldn't say I had a front row seat, but was kind of there to watch the whole arc of what was kind of born and has been kind of nurtured over the years here in Portland. And I like the name, and picking up on the theme of Kalyanamitta, the name that was chosen and established as Friends of the Dhamma, but also I hope you all think of yourself as friends in the Dhamma, and that remains like a strong kind of component to sort of the value that this community kind of holds. I have kind of a memory sort of really of the small dinky little office Lumpur was referring to. And some of the sort of early days. And I remember visiting once when I was up seeing my family and talking to a Sakula, and a few of the people kind of gathered. And there was a lot of experimentation in those days with meetings and formats and how to kind of get a community kind of going. And I remember one time sort of saying, don't just meditate together, because kind of what I had sort of seen happening in America was a little overly narrow, kind of when compared to sort of the living tradition that I had kind of witnessed ordaining and training in Thailand. And I remember meeting a few people saying, oh yeah, I have this kind of living room sangha I go to, and I'm really careful not to talk to anybody. I just like show up, I sit, and get out of there before all those other people start talking to one another. I don't want anything to do with them. I'm just here for the meditation, thank you. And I remember meeting a few people and reading a few articles about people that disidentified even with the term being a Buddhist. They're just here for the Dhamma. I'm a Dhammist. How unfortunate for you. How sad. So I remember sort of saying like, yeah, don't just meditate together. Think more kind of broadly about how it is that you can be friends, but not just kind of any old sort of worldly type of friendship. Like have a friendship that is kind of grounded in and centered in Buddha Dhamma and the principles of sort of Buddha Dhamma. And it was something that kind of struck me sort of arriving in Thailand, sort of witnessing sort of the communities that Ajahn Chah and his disciples are going to set up, is how vibrant and full of life they were, and the place that they had in the local communities, and how kind of a very broad swath of the whole society was participating in, supporting, and kind of benefiting from the presence of a spiritual community. And the monks were just kind of part of that, It kind of didn't fit my romantic condition, my romantic imaginings of a Buddhist monastery. So it exceeded it, really, and it's so clear, sort of looking to the kind of Buddhist teachings, sort of the importance of Kalyanamitta, or spiritual sort of friendship. And when I think of friends of the Dhamma, I think of this word Kalyana. And part of what it means to be a friend in the Dhamma is kind of grounded in sort of being the good friend, and sort of centering your friendship sort of around the principles of the Dhamma, and sort of like ever kind of returning to aspire to manifesting and acting from those principles in your part of the relationship, your part of the community, and also using that as the values which we hold each other to as well. So the worldly friend is kind of there more for the tit-for-tat relationship and the intimacy and identification, but the Kalyanamitta, or the good friend, is there kind of to both help themselves and help their friends kind of stay focused on something that goes far beyond that. So, and even in my own life as a monk, I identify and strive to kind of be a Kalyanamitta more than anything, more than identifying as a bhikkhu or as a teacher or an abbot, or like, all of those are just various kind of service roles or passing kind of identities. So I offer this for your reflection today and pass this on.
Likewise, it's quite lovely to be here for this occasion. I was thinking, I think the three of us up here, Lumpha, Ajahn Sudanto, and myself, have known Sakula for 25 years plus, maybe? I can't remember. At least, yeah. 97 was when you appeared on the scene, so yeah. And I was just remembering that number this morning and thinking, oh my gosh, where did it all go? Can't forget that. But I mean, one could take a trip down memory lane here, but I'll spare people that. As old folks like to talk about the past and all of our memories and when I did this and when she did that. Probably get plenty of that this weekend. But just to, acknowledge that role of helping to establish the Dhamma here in this community, Sakula's role in that. And this is not a small thing that you've done, you've participated in, you've shepherded, and it's to be remembered, recollected for all of us, and particularly for Sakula, as she goes about her life in the days after this, to bringing up that memory over and over again of having helped to establish this tradition in this community. How grateful many, many beings are for that role. And along the lines of Kalyanamita, I think one of Sakula's strongest Kalyanamita has been Alistair, our Sakula being the spiritual director here at PFOD, Alistair sort of being the first gentleman of PFOD. The minister's wife, right? Advising and encouraging and assisting and taking leadership in many ways for different projects, and so they kind of come as a pair. But Sakula kind of leading the front line, Alistair right there beside her, and just all the support and encouragement that both of them have given to this community over such a long period of time. And I think one of the things that I think about most too is Sakula's willingness to learn from the difficulties. This has not been a completely wonderful, absolutely easy 25 years. Many roadblocks and obstacles and difficulties to contend with in the process of bringing us where we are today, and above and beyond, and most of all, I think Sakula has always held in her heart the importance of taking all of these difficulties as part of the training of the heart, and learning how to humbly acknowledge and learn from the difficulties and rejoice in the accomplishments as well, and to bring it all back to the Dhamma, the realization of the cause and the path leading to and the ending of suffering, and using that for her own reflection over many years, and then sharing the benefits of that internal process with the community at large. So no small feat to be able to stay with that for 25 plus years at all. And that, we see here the fruits of that effort. Just thinking that, we'll be chanting this highest blessings chant in a few moments. But one of the highest blessings towards the end of the chant is although in contact with the world, unshaken the mind remains beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. this is one of the highest blessings. And so keeping in mind that ultimate goal of complete freedom that each of us as individuals has the possibility to realize, but that also we're still in contact with the world. And no matter where we are on the path, and I think most of us probably would say we have some ways to go, that we are still in contact with the world. And this is where the Sangha also, in one of the chants, brings the Sangha, meaning in this term, or in this usage, the greater Sangha of monastics and lay disciples, provide the occasion for incomparable goodness to arise in the world. So I think that PFOD, Sakula's role, Alistair's role in establishing this has really been that point of contact for many, many beings, and will serve to benefit this community for hopefully many, many years to go with Jessica's kind support and participation. So I'll leave that for.
I am grateful to be here today and to congratulate Sakula on what she has done here and what she is free to do now. I'm grateful to this community for taking on this building. I am intimate with every corner of this building. And I am grateful to the community for taking it from us when we needed to move on, because I felt like we had filled every corner with incense, and I wanted that fragrance to continue. And I did not want to sell it to a developer or some quirky entrepreneur. I wanted it to stay within the Buddha Dhamma, and I'm grateful to you all for making that giant step to take this on. And you've done a wonderful job with it. I'm really pleased. It may be hard to remember on a day like today, which is basically a party, that the work, the internal work that we do is hard. And the internal work that we do when we rub shoulders with other people, it can be hard. In our tradition, in the residential community, my teacher used to talk about it as a rock tumbler. You put all these rough rocks in the tumbler and you just let them wear each other down. Because when we organize things the way we perfectly like them, we get quirky, we get odd, and we get selfish. But when we rub up against each other, those quirks show us where our delusions are. They show us where our personalities have become hardened. And this is a time of change, and change hurts. So wherever you feel that hurt, recognize that this is where your work is. It's not somebody else's fault that there's a hurt. That's something that has hardened inside. And so as this transition happens, and when the joy of the party wears off and you're back to board meetings and committee meetings and work parties and whatever else you do that is the mundane, that is also your opportunity. I was reminded, I'm sorry, I don't know all your names, but that that illness of American Buddhism, that I'm just here for the Dhamma and or the meditation or something pure and disassociated with my everyday life. That's an illness. That's a greed, actually. Sitting in meditation is just a piece of the work that we do. The quiet reflection and then the insight that comes is fueled by all the little irritations. So embrace your irritations. Embrace the change that is coming. And may you all be well.
It's lovely to hear the reflections of these monastics pointing out to what I myself has found incredibly valuable and a big purpose for establishing the Portland Friends of the Dhamma in the first place, and that is to have community to practice with, to have a community of people that wanted to draw near monastics as well as I did and find the value, the deep richness in the teachings from those who have dedicated their entire life to realizing complete enlightenment and never ever boasting on, I have no idea where they are on the path. I have my guesses, but I have no idea. And I love the humility and the non-comparing action of this particular lineage. And the development of this community now to the point where it can be passed on to another very worthy practitioner for her leadership skills and her depth of Dhamma and her ability to share it with you. I feel so fortunate. I don't want this place to end. It's so beautiful. I'm looking forward to coming back and being amongst this commitment to what is beautiful, wholesome, joyful, leads to peace, respect, Kalyanamita, not only with each other, but with the monastics. I feel this place is really grounded in the Dhamma, in very, very good friendship. I appreciate the practices that have gone on here. I appreciate those who have come forward and skillfully shared with me challenges. I appreciate those who unskillfully shared with me and provided me with what's the word I'm looking for, but reason to develop further. Reason to reflect on, why am I suffering? It's not this person that's making me suffering. Yes, it is. No, I don't want to suffer. That's not the way out. You know, being able to, it might take years, but being able to forgive, to let go, to learn, it's all led to, I think most people here have heard the story of when we bought a new car. You know, getting very upset with the person that was trying to sell it to us, not following with the commitment that we had agreed on what we'd pay, and then getting frustrated and then pulling on all my experiences within this community, the teachings I've heard from the monastics, and just, I'm suffering. What would the Buddha do? He wouldn't be projecting out on other people. Oh, so that person's not making me suffer. So now what do I do? And it becomes evident. I don't have to buy the car. Telling the salesperson, and then they, oh, well, I just talked to my manager, and we can go back to the original agreement. How about that? Well, that was fortunate, but just being able to drop, that's so beneficial to be able to drop. And I couldn't have done that without both the good, skillful, and the unskillful content of my environment, the rocks that tumble together, the sharpness. It comes out eventually, if you stick with the practice, it comes out eventually very polished and smooth. So we can eventually smoothly let go when we recognize we're suffering. There's something we're holding on to. So I just want everybody in this room to know I'm grateful for your practice. I'm grateful for your interactions with me. And I am especially grateful for Jessica taking over this seat and carrying on the training and providing opportunity for all of us to draw near to the monastics. Thank you very much.
So I just wanted to add a couple of thank yous of my own. Being Sakula's partner, I've witnessed some things that perhaps you have not. And there's been times she's come home and gone, I can't do this anymore. It's too hard. It's too difficult. Nobody loves me. And it has been hard and difficult. And, you know, more than a few times, although probably less than several times, a few times is really, I have to think about it. Do I want to keep doing this? And there's, reflecting on this last week, there's been two things at the core that are the reasons that she's kept doing this. And the first is her bone deep and well-founded trust in Longpo Pasano, our teacher. And the second has been watching people come in contact with the Dhamma and their eyes open and apply themselves and taste some of the fruit. And we've come into contact with all kinds of beauty, generosity, and kindness, and resourcefulness, all kinds of things. But the most heartfelt and nourishing compliment in the last 20 years in our household has been Sakula saying, they're doing the work. Someone's doing the work. It's a really beautiful thing. And it's why this place is here, for people to do the work. So, I'd like to say thank you to Longpo Pasano, our Venerable Father, and to all of you, our friends in the Dhamma, for keeping Sakula on track.
Now I would like to invite the monastics to lead us in the chant of highest blessings.
So we'll do the chant together. It's in the Theravada tradition, this is one of the chants that is always, it's used on many occasions, but certainly any blessing ceremony of different kinds, and so that this is definitely a blessing ceremony today. And to This is a discourse that's recorded in the discourses, and it's a deva coming to the Buddha and asking, there's all these views and opinions, ideas. What are the highest blessings? It's called in Pali, it's a mangala, and a mangala is something that it's hard to translate actually. In one of the old translations was I think in one of the early translations was a luck bringer. But it's the sense of, and when you translate it, it's translated into Thai. It's that which facilitates the increase in goodness, and so and that's really a blessing when goodness increases. And so and the Buddha answered in these, I think it's 38 different blessings. And he said, okay, these are the highest blessings, and starting from and it's starting basically from Kalyanamitta, avoiding those of foolish ways. That's a very polite way of how what the Buddha actually said. He said, avoid fools. But associate with the wise. And so that this is established again. That theme of Kalyanamitta is really strong. And but then it's also, and as has been mentioned a few times, and this is not a path of just meditation. This is how we live and incorporate our practice of Dhamma in our day-to-day life, so that in our choosing where we live, who we associate with, the things that we do, the things that we give honor and respect to, the things that we avoid, just to paying attention to that. And it's not all high, lofty ideals. It's how do you live a practical life that brings about blessings, and certainly for ourselves as individuals, but again, looking at a bigger context of how do we bring blessings to this community here, to this space. So we can do that. Chant's on page 46 of the chanting book. I think there's some sheets with it out as well. Thus have I heard that the Blessed One was staying at Savatthi, residing at the Jeta's grove, in an Indica's hall. Then in the dark of the night a radiant Deva illuminated all Jeta's grove. She bowed down low before the Blessed One. Then standing to one side she said, Devas are concerned for happiness and ever long for peace. The same is true for humankind. What then are the highest blessings? Avoiding those of foolish ways, associating with the wise, and honoring those worthy of honor. These are the highest blessings. Living in places of suitable kinds, with the fruits of past good deeds, and guided by the rightful way. These are the highest blessings. Accomplished in learning and craftsman skills, with discipline highly trained, and speech that is true and pleasant to hear. These are the highest blessings. Providing for mother and father's support, and cherishing family, and ways of work that harm no being. These are the highest blessings. blessings, generosity and a righteous life, offering help to relatives and kin, and acting in ways that leave no blame. These are the highest blessings, steadfast in restraint and shunning evil ways, avoiding intoxicants that dull the mind, and heedfulness in all things that arise. These are the highest blessings, respectfulness and being of humble ways, contentment and gratitude, and hearing the Dhamma frequently taught. These are the highest blessings, patience and willingness to accept one's faults, seeing venerated seekers of the truth, and sharing often the words of Dhamma. These are the highest blessings, ardent, committed to the holy life, seeking for oneself the noble truths, and the realization of Nirvana. These are the highest blessings, although in contact with the world, unshaken the mind remains, beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. These are the highest blessings. They who live by following this path know victory wherever they go, and every place for them is safe. These are the highest blessings.
Yokiko is a person that Alistair and I took meditation, learned how to meditate 27, 8 years ago, something like that, here in this, at this place when they were on the building. And she now lives right around the corner from me. She's a dear, dear friend. So it's lovely to have her here. So she was the abbess for, how long were you the abbess? She doesn't know. I don't know. Many years. Kapio. Oh boy, she's been here in Oregon since '82 as a monk, as a monastic. Kakyumo is, I also consider a Dhamma friend. He is a current abbot of Dharma Reign, and he just led his community in their 50th year celebration. Was that 2 weeks ago? Yeah, something like that. He doesn't know either. And then Rinzan, what, pardon? Yeah. It's lovely not to hold this extra information in your head. You know? And then Rinzan, of course, was here for 8 years, were you, with us? Yeah, so Rinzan rented from us for 8 years, I think it was. Or do you know that number? Yeah, he doesn't know. And now owns his own building. So it's lovely. I really appreciate you coming. We have done the monks led us in the chant of the highest blessings, and they have chanted over this basket, which means these are now blessed. In this basket, I'm first going to offer a little gift to you and you. And can you pass this along? Thank you. And our monks don't accept these because they're bracelets. These are little bracelets. Stephanie, do you have yours on by any chance?
I don't.
Well, you can still have another one. These are little bracelets that I made. They're leather with a snap, and they say metta on them. They're very comfortable to wear, and it's my parting gift to the community.
Okay, well, thank you everybody, and thank you so much for being here. My name is Stephanie. And I'm about to say a lot of words, but I want to preface by saying, that I have more words than can be said in one day. I'm going to say a lot about Sakula, but I'm saying now that these words are not just for Sakula, they are for Alistair as well. The two of them are a team, and I'm hoping very much that people understand how much Alistair has done for and means to this community. He kept this community going in immeasurable ways, and he has kept Sakula going as well. Alistair, please include yourself in everything I'm about to say, because it is about you too. Where are you? Oh, it's about you too. Well, we've established it was well over 24 years ago. Sakula's life was changed by the Dhamma. She had some pretty rough times in her life, and discovering monastics like Ajahn Amaro, and then of course Longpa Pasano and others, it gave her a place to plant her feet. She went to Abhayagiri a lot. She worked hard. She endured many tough and deeply humbling lessons, and throughout it all, she kept coming back to the love of the Dhamma and of her monastic teachers. It was what kept her going when things felt too hard, and it was the light. It was the light in her heart that she fell asleep with every night and she woke to every morning. With time, Sakula decided that making the Dhamma accessible to people far from monastics was a calling for her. Thus began her journey of founding Portland Friends of the Dhamma. It began as a simple meditation group in her art studio, and from there, it just kept growing. Now I say, it just kept growing like it was easy and organic, but it was very, very difficult work. But still she persisted. Her monastic teachers imbued her with strength when she was weary, and the Dhamma never once let her down. These things continued to be the bright light in her heart that kept shining forth. If you have ever heard any of Sakula's Dhamma talks, they are full of stories of human feelings, emotions, and challenges, and then remembering the Dhamma. Again and again, she has risen from her human condition to meet the Dhamma, and then she tells us stories about the relief that it brings. For me, I can't tell you the profundity of how knowing Sakula has changed my life. I am, to a significant degree, a different person than I was 10 years ago. And I promise you, I like myself way, way more now than I did then. Yeah, right? I came to this community looking very organized on the outside and being quite lost on the inside. To be completely honest, I have never, ever felt like I fit in the world, and I had spent most of my life trying to bend myself into weird shapes to find belonging. It never worked. But then I found this community. And no, it didn't suddenly make me feel like I had all the answers. But I found that I had access to answers. I had to work, and I had to learn, and I had to persist. And what I was able to learn over time is that there is no correct pretzel mold that I need to twist myself into. Instead, there is a steady, reliable truth to be experienced again and again. I don't need to twist. I just need to calm down, listen, and pay attention to what's happening inside. And then ask myself, how does this relate to the Dhamma? And on the days that I couldn't answer that for myself, I would turn to another question. What would Sakula do? This question has never once let me down. Now I have found footing, not in others' approval, but in a deep understanding of why. Why am I making this choice or that choice? Because it is in alignment with the Dhamma. Refuge, safety, confidence, trust, all of these feelings have given me footing where I had no footing before. And isn't that exactly what Sakula's teachings have always been about? A rising of human distress and then refuge in the Dhamma. Rinse, repeat. I have had the incredible privilege of years of work beside Sakula. I have scrubbed this hall. I have served on the board. I have been her assistant, and most importantly, I have been her student. But I promise you, you do not need to do it like I did to have access to her wisdom, the wisdom of her teachers, and the wisdom of the Dhamma. Because of her hard years of work, you have this place. You have access to these esteemed monastics. You have direct access to the Dhamma, and you have a carefully chosen brand new spiritual director. Sakula has built us a treasure in this community. Because her commitment to the Dhamma has been so true and so devoted, her teachers have provided their steady support and approval. They show their support by being here today. They show their support by continuing to be a refuge to her, by continuing to teach us. This is not an accident, and this is no small thing. It is a deep, deep honor to have them here, and it speaks volumes about Sakula's work. So, PFOD is the legacy that Sakula has built for us. Her work has changed my life immeasurably, and I suspect just from the fact that you are sitting here today, that she's changed yours as well. After all, without her, there would be no here to sit.
Express my appreciation to the Monastic Sangha for being here today. It's very lovely to see you, and being here to honor Sakula and welcome Jessica. And speaking of Jessica, Stephanie asked me if I would be kind enough to say a few words with regard to Sakula's retirement, which means that I don't get to say anything with regards to Jessica's coming on board as the new spiritual director. So I'll take a few seconds of my time to just say welcome and looking forward to your leadership and giving whatever support I can lend. So thank you. So kind of organized my thoughts with regard to Sakula in terms of 3 different qualities, all of which fall into the category that Stephanie proposed for me, which is my appreciation and gratitude for Sakula. And those are Sila, Sangha, and Dana are the three qualities that I think of when I think of Sakula. And I'm sure as other people speak, those will probably become themes as well, because they really do encapsulate who she is. The first sila of ethical conduct and uprightness. When I came to Friends of the Dhamma, I guess it's almost 19 years ago now already. So I'd been practicing in a different line of Dhamma for some 20 years or so, and there wasn't so much emphasis at all really on the aspects of ethical conduct. And so when I came here, it was rather new to me, and I didn't take to it very well, really. But over time, being in association with the community, and most particularly Sakula, who is steadfast about the central aspect, the central facet of ethical behavior in the Dhamma, that gradually it started to sink in until I reached the point where I feel that, if my Dhamma practice, the meditation practice was rubbish, that if I had, if my insights were negligible, that if my sila was one in which I could take some joy in, that I would be completely content with that. And so I thank you very much and appreciate that aspect of you, Sakula, and introducing that, steeping the community into that so steadfastly over the years. So the second one is Sangha, and so many beautiful words have been spoken by Lampo and by Ajahn Siddhanta, Ajahn Karuna Dhamma about Kalyanamitta in terms of this community. But now I want to speak in terms of Sangha, in terms of the monastic Sangha in particular, where again, when I came to this community, it was not a relationship that I really hadn't drawn near to the Sangha at all. And again, I didn't take to it very well. Came here. And I can remember some really quite embarrassing conversations I had once with Sakula and me and Ajahn Siddhanta and Ajahn Chagananda were in the library in the old building. And I was making some kind of statements that really reflected my inflated idea of what was possible for anybody, regardless of whether they were a monk or whatever they might be. And I remember Alistair. Remember that first conversation we had where we went to Common Grounds, and you were sitting me down and trying to explain to me that there's actually, there's actually a benefit and a reason for there being this monastic hierarchy, and I really wasn't having any of it. Yeah. So, but Sakula, one of her, if not her primary motivation, your primary motivation for organizing a place where people could come in order to receive the teachings from the monastic community. And this has always been your guiding principle, I think, almost above everything else. And so, of course, we've all benefited over the years from having marvelous teachers like just to name a few luminaries, Ajahn Jev and Ajahn Suchito and Ajahn Samedo, and of course Lampo. But for me, I think as well, what touches me is as well, or even more so, is seeing some of the new monastics that are coming brand new, and just reflecting on them having make this commitment to dedicate their lives to to living harmlessly and opening up their hearts to the Dhamma and realizing the end of dukkha, the end of stress for themselves. And it's just so inspiring to have contact with all the monastics and a soft place in my heart for those who are just beginning, where it's the most difficult for some years. And so again, this is such gratitude that I have to Sakula for you for bringing this forth, and I guess along with this idea of monastic sangha, as you spoke of earlier. First thing that you said was having to do with respect, and teaching me over the years of the great joy and benefit of showing respect and appreciation. And it's so important to learn how to gradually develop some sense of humility, and it's just been such a gift that I'll never forget, and I have such gratitude for that. And then the third, dana, or generosity, or giving as well. Just again, speaking, including Alistair as well in this as Sakula, those many early years of of not only all the time that you put into it, and effort and consideration and thoughtfulness and dedication, but money. I mean, you were just pouring money and to keep the place afloat, for some time. It's just like it's just the way things were, and Alistair. I'll be here for some event or another on a weekend, and there's Alistair showing up in some dirty jeans and t-shirt. And what are you doing here, Alistair? Well, the toilet has got some, so he's fixing the toilet or doing something like that. So I think one story that comes to my mind in terms of Sakula, you may not remember this, but when we were in Selwood, I was with you in your studio there, and I saw this picture of Lampo, and I said, that's a really nice picture of Lampo. I'd like to have a picture of Lampo. And there wasn't, how you can see in people, they'll be, I'm hearing what you're saying, I'm processing what you're saying, I like this picture myself, but I'm going to offer this to you. There was none of that with Sakula. There was none of it. She just picked it up and handed it to me. She didn't go through any of that process. It was just like, part of her blood. She just didn't think about it at all. So amazing and so inspiring. Just reflecting on that generosity of heart that you have, and not to Alistair's extent, but to a certain extent, I'm privy to the knowledge that many was the time that Sakula would take on criticism from other people in order to, say, protect another person for various reasons. And she did that was just out of a heart of generosity. It was just, she was willing to take the pain of other people's feeling and speaking ill of her in order to, just offering that as a gift to, say, the Sangha or to other people as well. So it's really it's quite moving. And, I've learned, tell myself not to make this about me, but generosity has never been my strong suit. And so it's just been one of cultivation, of seeing, through Sakula as an example of just cultivating that quality in myself, just intentionally, sometimes just painfully, not even wanting to do it, but just knowing that it was going to reap such fruits and rewards that she inspired me to do that. So much gratitude. Another thing, I don't think that you would ever have medical benefits or much in the way of any kind of financial support if it wasn't for Greg Satter, who's here somewhere, standing, Greg, just fighting it for you, because I'm okay. Or if the center would get into trouble or something financially, it's going to say, well, I don't have to take my, we can just forget about my, so because that's just the way she felt, and so much, again, operating behind the scenes, and really a lot of humility there too. So, okay, well, I think that should probably do it. Thanks for being here, and it's just been my joy to be part of this.
I'm Joan, and Jessica has asked Scott and I to speak a little bit because we were here. I met Sakula when they were in the little office, but only for just a week or two before you moved to Selwood. And so we have been part of the community since then, but I've been asked to speak about Sakula's first adventure in training upasakas. And Scott and I were part of that group, and there's a few people in the room here that were part of that group. And I just want to express my gratitude and appreciation for you standing at the door
and holding it open for me to walk at my own pace into a knowing or a belief of faith in the Dhamma and allowing the Dhamma to envelop my life. And I remember us going as a group to Abhayagiri for our first traveling to the Apostolic Renewal Day. And we had spent months preparing and reading the little red book about how to, etiquette, teaching us etiquette and all that. And we were all given the opportunity to ask for the refuges or the precepts, or to not do that. It was our own choice. And I chose not to the first year that we went, because I was unsure. Can I live this life, or do I want to live this life? And the next year I went and we did that. But your patience and your determination to stand with us and to guide us has transformed my life, has changed my life. And for me to grow in my own way and at my own pace, and I really appreciate that, Sakula. Your leadership in that way has been valuable. I don't know if we always saw eye to eye, but I feel like we've been friends through it all. And we've shared grandmothering, and we've shared, our children, stories of our children, and I think that's all part of being Kalyanamita. And so I just deep bows for all your leadership and all your efforts, and just to see all that this has grown into. And we no longer live here, so we don't get to participate as regularly, but it's the words that kept coming to me today is the Buddha's teaching on the Dhamma is beautiful in the beginning and in the middle and in the end. And your leadership has allowed that to blossom here. So thank you, Sakula. And many, many blessings for you, the next journey.
Thank you, Joan. And I'm Scott. I think you assume that I'm Joan's husband. So we've been together here for many years. And it was the Upasaka group that really changed my life. I was in a situation where I had just retired from my work career, and I was kind of looking for what's next. I was trying to figure out what my spiritual life was going to be like, and we came to your center. And I remember we came to your office, and there was a teacher there. Who was it? James Baraz, I think it was, that we came there to see. And we got introduced to you and the rest of the community and invited to come and participate. And I think the Upasaka training is something that really bonded me to the community. It was really introduced me to, the concept of generosity, of being in service, of helping others, of, taking care of myself even that way. And it really taught me a lot about sila, and the sila piece has been something that I've really grounded in for the past 20 years, and I really appreciate that teaching, and I'm honored to be able to be here to take the precepts with the monastics. That's really been a treat. One of the things that came out of the Upasaka training for me was that Sakula had this vision of having some monastics live here. And she talked to us about that many times, and I know she was visiting with Longpo Pasano about it, and finally got permission to take a next step on it. And what we did, this was in 2007, I think it was, 2 monks, Ajahn Siddhanto and at that time Tan Karuna Dhammo, came up for the Vasa. And we stayed up at some land in Mosier. And the thing for me was that she asked me to be a steward. And it was the most wonderful thing that ever happened. First that you trusted me enough or were willing to guide me enough to help me do that. And then having the experience being with the monastics for a couple of weeks up in the woods was really a life-changing experience. I'm truly grateful for that, truly grateful. And we had a committee that was ongoing for a while after that, and eventually we got a piece of, or rented a log cabin up above White Salmon, way up on top of the ridge up there. And I remember that the monks, Ajahn Siddhanto and whoever else was there, they'd walk all the way down into White Salmon and do alms round and then walk back up. That was 1,200 vertical feet up and down every day. It was like, I couldn't do that, sort of thing. We were there for about a year and a half, and then we found a piece of property in White Salmon, which is where we are now. And all that while, you've been supportive of us and helping us make those decisions and encouraging us. And I think your ability to have that persistence is something that I've seen in you that's really been helpful for me. No matter what goes on, this is the path, and we're going to keep going on that. So I appreciate you, Sakula, and I'm grateful to have spent these years with you.
Sakula, we have a thank you for you. We took up a collection and with a lot of joy and a lot of generosity, we were able to, why don't you come up here? Here is a gift for you and Alistair. We were able to cover the airfare for your trip to Europe, and so hopefully that is helpful. And I also want to share with people that Sakula has told me again and again that the main part of Dhamma, the real part of Dhamma, is the joy that it inspires. And if it doesn't inspire joy, then it's not the same kind of gift. So I want to share with you that this brought about a lot of joy for a lot of people. And if anyone would like to partake in that joy and contribute to their fun and their trip, pop something in the Dhamma box and feel the uplift of that. Maybe put on the envelope that it's for Sakula and Alistair. And then think of them, sharing a lovely meal together in a beautiful setting and holding the community in their hearts as we travel with them to their future adventures. So that is there for you.
Thank you. Ooh.
Thank you so much, Sakula. Up, up, and away, the next chapter begins.
Really beautiful. Yes, really beautiful. Jessica.
Longport told me where to put the chair. And I said, she's going to move it. So now we have an opportunity to do something that I think is really special. This is a ceremony that the monastics partake in and that lay people have taken on at times. When we're taking leave of a teacher, of a place, of a monastery, one thing that we can do to really clear the air and say thank you and say I love you is to formally ask for forgiveness and receive it. And so I made these cards. I hope that you all have one. This is the ceremony that will follow. Our part is in bold, and then Sakula will respond to us. And then I didn't know that we were going to chant the highest blessings today. But we had talked about that being a theme of our gathering here today and this weekend. And so on the back, coincidentally, I have the highest blessings here. And these, knowing how much Sakula really digs giving gifts. I just made enough of these for everyone to take home. So if you want to want a little souvenir, you have a beautiful bracelet and some words of wisdom. So I'll go ahead and lead this ceremony. So we'll bow 3 times together as a group. Bow. 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 Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. And then we'll just say this next part just quietly but together and from the heart. For whatever wrongdoing we may have done toward you by body, speech, or mind, with or without intention, please forgive us.
And for whatever I have done intentionally or unintentionally, and I'm sure I've offended a number of you over the years, please forgive me.
And you have to forgive us.
Oh, you're forgiven. Will you forgive me?
There's a script.
Oh.
Scripts or something.
Where am I?
At the bottom. I forgive you.
I forgive you, and may you also forgive me.
We forgive you. And then we'll bow again 3 times together as a group. Bow. Bow.
Perfectly enlightened and blessed one, I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One.
The teachings
So completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma.
the Blessed One's disciples
Who have practiced well, I bow to the Sangha.
Okay. Yeah.
But Jessica has been with Portland Friends of the Dhamma and studying with me for at least 21 years. She was, right from the start, somebody that I could see her doing the work. And like was mentioned earlier, I can't remember who's, I think it was Alistair actually, who said that that's one of the deepest joys that I have is seeing somebody who does the work. And I could see it because she was really grumpy when she first started the practice. But inevitably, every single day, though she would come in grumpy, she would leave happy, or she'd leave relaxed. And that tells me she was doing the work. You know, she is somebody who constantly reflected and questioned, what am I doing that's making me suffer? She never came to me and said, "Why are you doing this? You're making me suffer." And though we had many disagreements, and we are very different personalities, we have different understanding of leadership and different experiences in the world that have crafted our individual talents, our individual strengths, our individual weaknesses. And somehow, though we are very different than one another, we were able to always knit our aspiration and our love for the Dhamma, even though sometimes we're obstructed by our personality traits. The Dhamma is in Jessica's heart. And I have no doubt that she is going to be she's always been a huge benefit to this community. And she's taking on a role that is not easy. And I am requesting from the community here to, when something comes up for you that you're uncomfortable with, in whatever it may be, of her leadership style or her putting together programs, or even, the raising of a single eyebrow, if you're feeling uncomfortable, reflect, what am I doing? How am I responding to the present conditions that is making me suffer? And support Jessica. It's a really hard job. When we come to a single leader and are unhappy or upset, know that you're just an individual coming to somebody who has 50, 60, 70 people one at a time that come, trying to unburden themselves. She's here to help you see the way of how to stop suffering, no matter what comes your way. So Jessica, it has been enormously beneficial for me to have been your friend, to have you taking over in my place and carrying this place on. Don't cry, you're going to make me cry. I'm very, very, very grateful for your practice, for your love of the Dhamma, for your love of the Ajahn Chah lineage, and your purity of heart. So I turn this over to you for a moment. Tell us why you're taking this on. What inspires you to take this on?
But I would like to say that I am honored and humbled to accept this position and this commissioning and the roles and responsibilities of a lay Buddhist minister at Portland Friends of the Dhamma. I have been training in this lineage for 2 decades to boundless benefit, and I'm happy for the opportunity to extend that training and support to this community.
Thank you. Where are we now? Now I would like to invite the 4 community members to come forward. Hayley, could you come closer, please?
We are here to represent the community and to accomplish 2 missions. The first is to briefly offer our appreciation for Portland Friends of the Dhamma, for Sakula, and for you in ways that have changed our lives for the better. For me, when I first walked through the door, I had no idea what the Dhamma was. Yeah, maybe I caught a glimpse of it way across the field in the trees, but it might have as well have been Bigfoot. Now, after roughly 15 years,
The Dhamma is never out of my view. It's my guiding principle, and my life is so much better. Thank you.
I just wanted to speak about the impact of this community, and to be able to come here and to see all the different personalities, all the different life situations, people practicing in the context of being a layperson and being in an urban environment, and people who are monastics and have a completely different context in which they practice the Dhamma, has been an anchor for my practice that has inspired me to return again and again to the practice, to recommit to this path. And this year, when my mother was passing away and I was able to spend time with her, I was able to notice the benefits of my practice and to my ability to not center the situation on what I expect it to be, but to show up for that moment and to find the goodness and to find what I could do to be of benefit at that time, and to be able to bring the benefits of this community back home to my mother in that time. It was very, very deeply meaningful. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Didn't realize till I had the microphone that I might cry too. I had to share a quick metaphor. Oh, Jessica has a thing about me, my metaphors. Last night, my friend turned 50, and she organized a ritual for her 50th birthday where people would share something, and then the idea was that everybody had a percussive instrument, and it was to sort of make a little bit of percussive sound. That was the idea. And so the first time we are not musicians, so the first time we did that, someone read something, and then we played our instrument, and we were like, wow, that sounded really bad. It was just like noise. And then someone in the group who had been in a drum circle before, they sort of gave us a little lesson in what would make a successful drum circle. And they said, someone needs to start the beat, and then everyone else listens and harmonizes with the beat. And I think that I just feel so grateful that in this practice, the Dhamma starts the beat, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha start the beat. Lumpur Pasano starts the beat, and we have the opportunity to harmonize with that. And Sakula, you gave us that beat, to harmonize with the Dhamma, which is, a boundless benefit to me and to the community. And I think just as sort of a lesson maybe in the world today, sometimes it seems like maybe we don't need a leader, but when we don't have a leader, it can be very noisy and not very pleasant to listen to. And so I feel very grateful. And I think I speak on behalf of everyone that you're willing to step into that role where you are able to harmonize with just this tradition and listen well and dedicate unbelievable amount of time to this practice. So many Sundays. I don't really know anyone who could dedicate that many Sundays. So thank you very much for taking on this role on behalf of all of us.
For me, in terms of just the value that Friends of the Dhamma brings, I think that the opportunity to draw near to monastics is a really key one and a really essential one. And I'm reminded of the four heavenly messengers: aging, sickness, death, and the samana, the one who's gone forth. And the very first time I came to this building, it was with Ajahn Kurundamo and Ajahn Siddhanto. And that made a big impression on me. Just seeing someone who's dedicated their lives, for a couple of decades at that point, saying, wow, people actually, take on this practice in a very intentional and serious way. And I think that connection has really helped with building a community and just a center that is supportive of practice, of building those skillful qualities and opportunities like going on a metta retreat with Ajahn Sona, figuring out the whole metta thing, What does that feel like to my anxious and suffering self? And being able to apply it back to lay life, like software engineering. If you ever want a wilderness or thicket of views and opinions, there's a profession for you. But being able to come across a situation like a coworker making a bunch of changes, which then have all sorts of implications, instead of getting frustrated or kind of pushing back in a way, coming at it in terms of how can I be supportive and help them move forward with the energy that because they're wanting to make things better and improve things, and that just entirely changed the interaction. So I said, hey, what about this idea that would fix a bunch of stuff? And he's like, yeah, that's great, and smiles and thumbs up instead of this big old conflict. And so yeah, I've just seen a lot of personal benefit instead of in terms of reducing suffering in my own life.
Our second reason for being here is to express our support on behalf of the community for you, Jessica, as our spiritual director. And of course, absolutely, you have my support, and you're exactly the right choice. And if Sakula can't be here, I couldn't be happier that it's you. That was not intended as. Oh well.
I feel the same way.
Let me try again. I'm happy that Sakula gets to enter a new phase of her life. And I'm absolutely thrilled that you will be our new spiritual director. Never give me a microphone.
You did beautifully, Jen.
Jessica, I just wanted to offer the sense of gratitude on behalf of the community that you're willing to step into this role and to be this thing that we need, to be the leader, to fill the spiritual director role, and the joy that comes up within me when I see over this last year that I know you've been doing longer, but when I see that you're engaging seriously in training and taking on the responsibility, I really do feel a sense of joy that we're in good hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica, for taking on this role. Really, there's no greater refuge than this practice, and keeping, I think the pandemic especially made me especially aware of how nothing, just that it's not easy to keep something like this going, that there's a lot of work that goes into it. And so it's no small thing that that you are helping our community to persevere and keep this urban refuge. Thank you.
And whatever ups and downs may come, and I'm sure there will be plenty, you have the whole community's support. You're still part of the community. Can't get rid of us quite that easily. And yeah, we're really happy to support you. And I think you've already been feeling that support. Like, we can talk with this microphone and there's no snap, crackle, pop.
Can't see everybody.
And so, by all means, expect that to continue.
All right, so on behalf of the entire community and in the presence of the monastic sangha to witness, I'm going to present you with candles, incense, and flowers as a demonstration of our support for you.
So at this time, I'd like to invite the monastics to share a few words. Jessica wants to wait.
Oh, I don't have to wait.
Or she doesn't have to wait. Okay.
Again, I have been trained to speak extemporaneously. That is the Ajahn Chah lineage way. And, I won a few awards for extemporaneous speaking in high school, so I feel like I've been training for this for a while, but do you see how quickly I go off the rails? So I actually did write up some remarks for today because I want to say what I want to say, how I want to say it, and I want you to hear it. This thing. I am privileged to be trusted with the direction and spiritual guidance of this community and deeply grateful for the training I have received in this lineage over the past 2 decades. I'm also grateful to others who have supported my path all these years. Todd, who does more behind the scenes than you could know? My kids, Ethan and Julia, who grew up in this world and that one, and daily demonstrate the qualities of goodness, generosity, and compassion. Did you hear me? Okay. And my parents. My friends, who are my chosen family in the back there, and who I'm lucky enough to walk through life with. Thank you for being here and supporting me. Our board, volunteers, teachers, participants, and beloved upasikas. The precious community all of this was built for. Alistair, thank you, Alistair, who runs with the impossible until we are all running alongside him. Sakula, whose faith, devotion, and willingness to train is the reason we are all here today. And the Western monastic lineage of Ajahn Chah, worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of respect. Thank you for your willingness to continue advising, supporting, and training those who wish to be trained. Thank you all.
Again, Ajahn Siddhanto, Ajahn Kurundamo, myself will say a few words. And, I think, particularly for Jessica, who I've known now for 20 years, I guess, and just seeing her grow and then taking on this position, I'm quite I'm delighted, and compassionate. Just knowing that, because somebody asked, people have asked me, because I've been an abbot and a teacher for a long time, and what kind of qualities do you need to be like an abbot and a leader? So you have to be a bit stupid to actually be so bold as to step into that position. So it's just, because you can't imagine what you're getting into, and it's good, because if you did, if you really thought it through, you say, "Oh, I don't think so." But the reality is we get by with a little help from our friends, and that's a really beautiful opportunity as a human being to be able to be in a position where one can be of service to other people and our fellow human beings. The opportunity to share the things that are really important to our hearts, and so like for Jessica and certainly for myself, that's it does give me a lot of delight to be able to share things that I see as important for how to live a good human life, and it's not it's not that, because sometimes we set impossible standards for ourselves, and it's just, I think the important thing is just to share from the heart and be willing to acknowledge and recognize the things that say for we have benefited from, and then to speak from that experience, say, rather than trying to come up with some elaborate ideal of what we think we should be, which is impossible anyway. So it's just to be able, so for Jessica to trust yourself and to be willing to share from what you found useful and beneficial in your Dhamma life, and also be willing to ask for help, because sometimes it's sort of like, will they want to help me? But they just being don't let that whining voice sort of intrude, and be willing to if you need help, if you need assistance, if you need some kind of support in some way, people are ready to help out. Don't you trust them as well? Trust your community, and so it's and I think that's an important element to be paying attention to. What is it that helps to foster trust, and part of it is trusting in yourself, and it's coming back to whenever I reflect on teachings of the Buddha or the kind of the guidance that is laid out in the Buddha's teachings just kind of hits the nail on the head all the time. So it's trusting in that and keep cleaving to that, and then and building your sense of kind of purpose and community around that, and that also the Buddha points to one of the great benefits of sila, I mean, as like integrity and virtue, is that it builds trust. So that just recognizing that as we are willing to keep giving ourselves to the Dhamma, giving ourselves to that quality of integrity, we ourselves gain trust in ourselves, but also others gain trust in us, and you build building our human relationships on trust and compassion, and the wisdom follows, and that in itself is a manifestation of wisdom. It's not on a certain level. The teachings of the Buddha, for all of their nuance and refinement, pretty straightforward. It's just giving ourselves to it. And so that and the opportunity to do that as a community and to facilitate that as a leader is, it's a wonderful opportunity that is really quite special. So to be able to delight in that and not get too ramped up in the various dramas that the mind can create around all of the personalities that that are already around you. It's just normal. It's just ordinary, and being very, very patient with that. I mean, this is something that Ajahn Chah. What did he say? There was one time this is on a trip to North America, second trip to the West, a trip to North America. He was in Vancouver, and they were out for a walk. Ajahn Dhamma was with him. He invited him up to Vancouver because he was visiting family at that time, and I can't remember exactly what it was said, but Ajahn Chant said to him something, I can't teach you much about wisdom. I can teach you about patience. And that's from Ajahn Chah, so who was no slouch in the wisdom department. But what he saw as important was not the wisdom element, not the analytical, philosophical element, but the willingness to just be patient with conditions as in this body, in this mind, in this world around us, and not just. And it's important to sort of, when we reflect on patience. English, just the word patience it's already, it kind of turns you off. I've got to put up with something unpleasant, waiting for it to be over. But patience from a Buddhist perspective, because the Buddha put patience or khanti as a barami, as a spiritual quality that facilitates awakening, so that it's a resilience of heart that is open to what is. And so that when there's that openness to what is, lots of good things happen. So just to be patient with yourself, be patient with the community, be patient with conditions around, and similarly for the whole community. Be patient with Jessica, give her support, give her the encouragement that she needs, because you do need it. Sometimes as a leader, it's nice to know when somebody's in your corner, and to not be shy in doing that, and then and to be patient with if she needs admonition, and be patient with finding the right time and place and the right wording, because that's always when it's given in the right way, it's a great opportunity for growing. And of course, those are good advice for anybody at any time, but particularly at this time of transition and change of leadership, it's a great opportunity for everybody to step into the role of leadership of Portland Friends of the Dhamma. So offer that for reflection.
I quite resonated with what I think Margaret said. I'm not sure, I had my eyes closed. I was just listening and meditating about the need for somebody to sort of establish the beat. Where's Margaret? Yeah. Was that you? Yeah. As much as we appreciate the ideas of no self and selflessness and even equanimity or equality, practically speaking, we do need people to step up and provide leadership, and oftentimes not everybody's well suited to fulfill that kind of role. And in any one community or organization, sometimes people capable of doing that are few, and the people willing to do it are even fewer. Sometimes it's just one. So, without that and somebody sort of establishing the beat and everyone then following and doing their best to kind of harmonize or even march to the beat that's kind of set and established, we're left with chaos and a cacophony, and the most we could do is benefit ourselves, which is far less than what we can do when we can kind of come together and sort of harmonize. So it's a very necessary thing in our relationships, in our communities. So, amongst all the monks I know, none of us ordained to be abbots or leaders. Hardly anyone even volunteers to give the Dhamma talk most of the time, which I take as a good sign. There's a kind of humility and I I think people's values are in the right place in almost all the communities I've lived in. And everybody that I know that says, yes, I'll give the Dhamma talk, or yes, I'll take up the leadership role, sort of does so out of a sense of recognizing the necessity of that, and out of a spirit of service or self-sacrifice. And I think that's for the best if it can be taken up sort of with that sort of sense of service and self-relinquishment, because it is a very difficult. If it's something you're doing for yourself, you're going to suffer, suffer mightily, and so will everybody else in this room. But if it's sort of assumed and taken on sort of out of the recognition of the possibility for people to go beyond what they can do as individuals and to harmonize and sort of multiply those vibrations and energies into something kind of bigger and greater or something. And both you and everybody in the community can kind of keep that in mind, sort of have some continuous sati and mindfulness and recollection that that's what we strive to do and aim to do, and find ways to return to that again and again. Then not only will it be of great benefit, but it will be beautiful and enjoyable most of the time. So, and I applaud your willingness to step up and take on this kind of role in the community. For the community itself, for Sakula, for the greater kind of Ajahn Chah Sangha, I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being willing to take this on. So it will be for all of our benefit. So, and if done well, it will also be for your benefit. You've been practicing for 20 years, but now you're graduating to the major leagues. It's the next step, in a sense. And I think we're lazy at heart, and sometimes it really does take a shift of commitment, or a deepening of our commitment to kind of reach the kind of greater levels of adeptness and skillfulness in our lives. And so by taking on a leadership role, you'll be called to sort of muster sort of more selflessness, more energy, more equanimity, and more patience. So, but that will be for your growth, that will be for your benefit. And you'll make tremendous merit by sort of meeting the challenge, both for yourself and for many, many people. So, so I really celebrate that. One last thing, really this word urban refuge has come up several times today, and I really have brought this up many times, kind of visiting friends of the Dhamma, but I really believe this is kind of like a model community. It's a shame hasn't been emulated more. Oftentimes the spiritual directorship falls to a monk and or the abbot of the nearest monastery, and it's just one of the 20 jobs that they're trying to do. And I feel so happy that Sakula founded this place, and that there's so many good people like yourself and Matthew and other people that have led programs and taught here. And I can always confidently sort of send people that are interested in learning about refuges and precepts, and learning how to be an upasaka, and learning how to meditate, and learning about basic Buddhism, sort of to a place that's closer to home, and where they can meet with other like-minded people and get a very good and traditional training in such a friendly and committed sort of environment. And by you guys taking care of that and holding the urban center, we get to sort of live in the forest refuge and come visit and kind of participate, and also create opportunities for people to kind of come out and enjoy the forest refuge as upasakas and as part of the fourfold sangha. And I really do believe that's kind of the ideal environment, especially for a forest-dwelling tradition of monks. There's a lot of good that happens in cities, but I prefer living in the forest. So, and one of the things I've always found so inspiring about this tradition is how it does kind of cater sort of to sort of people in all stations of life, you know, and monastics and lay people in a very kind of fulsome way. And by you taking up this role and this center kind of continuing sort of with experienced Dhamma leadership, I have just great confidence that that will continue on in a really beautiful way. And Portland is very much on the map in the Ajahn Chah world, because there's not really many other places where we have this kind of arrangement of the monasteries and then a lay-driven center that has the kind of programs and activities and depth of experience that Portland Friends of the Dhamma has. And I also just kind of in the Western sort of world, you know, there's a lot of interest in sort of Buddhism, but there's very few really robust communities that last of any great length of time. And so to kind of meet this, what I call the intergenerational challenge, is really momentous. You know, for 24 years in, after the center here being kind of well established, to kind of reach that point and to have somebody suitable and capable and selfless enough to step forward and take the baton and go forward into the future is really fantastic, you know. So there's some conservation of energy, and so anumodana, and if I can be of any help or assistance in supporting you, please don't hesitate to kind of reach out. And also for everyone in the community, I really encourage you to sort of continue to support Jessica and find ways that you can also selflessly kind of give to the community in ways that are kind of appropriate. And the more that things can be done sort of in that sense of being of service to the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, and to each other as Kalyanamitas, with a sense of self-relinquishment and a sense of generosity and service, I'm sure it'll go well. And there'll be challenges, there'll be disagreements, there'll be difficulties, but if it can be kind of grounded in some of those principles, it'll be for everyone's kind of benefit and growth for the long term. So.
I was just thinking the first memory I have of Jessica, I'm not sure if it was the first time I actually met you, but the first memory I have is at the Selwood place that we were, that PFOD was meeting at, and you were sitting kind of front and center. And I can't remember if I was introduced to you before the evening started or if it was later, but just thinking, oh, that looks like a very sincere, bright person. I wonder if she'll stick with it. and here you are. So that was quite some time ago. just a few thoughts of, being in, to some extent, as I was at Abhaya and have been at Abhayagiri over the years, in various levels of quasi-leadership, leadership kinds of things, and co-abbot for just a couple of years, but kind of being more of an assistant to Lumpah for many years before that. Just some encouragement to, so easy to get lost in administrative details and tasks to be done, and to-do lists and task lists and things like that. And of course, those are important things. Tending to the infrastructure and all the details is certainly a good part of the job. But to try not to get too absorbed and lost in that, and forgetting that you're not just a CEO, you're a spiritual director. And making your, the continuing development of your inner spiritual qualities the top of the list, and the rest of it flows from there. So not neglecting that, and when it feels kind of like it's moving into overwhelm, and those important parts of your job, your work, your practice seem kind of remote, to really take that time to step back and reconfigure and settle, and then let the details follow from that. It's something I continue to learn over the years for myself. So just some encouragement there in that way. And then as both Lumpah and Ajahn Sudanto have been remarking, there's this combination of both setting the drumbeat and helping to kind of direct the direction, and also the asking for help and sharing of responsibilities that come along with it. So it's this really wise balance of those kinds of qualities that I think make a successful leader, in my mind anyway. Ajahn Titapanyo and I actually were having there was some comment that you made a while back, reminding me of a boss that I had when I was a working bee before I was a monk, and she was a very, very good leader of the agency that I was working at. And I think the reason was because she really followed a certain motto that she had received from somebody else, and there was a little sign over her desk. And the sign said, how does it go? I must hurry, for there they go, and I am their leader. I always thought, that's why she's such a good leader, is because she has the wisdom to know the direction that things should be going in, and she had the vision, but she also wasn't afraid to, let people take their lead in some of their own kinds of things, and to watch over carefully, but not to feel like, one has to micromanage every detail. And then that not only frees the leader up, but it also really encourages those qualities in other people. Sort of like I think the Buddha has a simile of, when things are relatively stable, the mother cow, can just graze peacefully, but keeping a close eye on her calves, but not having to kind of direct and be there for every movement. So it's that kind of mindfulness and clearer attention as the qualities, being very alert and knowing what's going on, but having the wisdom to know when to let things move in the direction, if they're moving in a good direction, without having to manage it so much. The other story that came to mind, or the simile that came, not simile, but I guess, it was a reflection that came to mind. I think it was Ajahn Sucitto who told this, about someone once asking Luang Por Liam, saying to Luang Por Liam that, oh, Luang Por, you're the abbot of a very large and very busy, very highly well-known, very well-regarded monastery, Wat Pah Pong. That must be quite a responsibility. How do you manage that? How do you deal with that? And Luang Por Liam's response was something along the lines of, well, in the morning I'm in my kuti and I do my practice, and I come out during the period in the morning and the daytime. I do my duties, and when I go back to my kuti, then I resume my practice. If some people want to call that being an abbot, that's their business. So not to get lost in, the whole, abstract conception of what it might mean to be a leader, but to do your practice, and to do your duties and keep an eye out and help, push things in the right direction. But you're always coming back to your home inside, and that's where whatever you have to do in terms of the duties and the direction, it flows from that central point of your inner security and your inner practice, your inner confidence.
Within this book are letters that people have sent in, saying, I support Jessica and this is why, and they are beautiful letters. And when you're down, take a look at this book and remember the love that you have from your community. I didn't have this when I started. But I kept the notes that I did get over the years, and every once in a while looked at them, and it really helped nourish my heart. So I offer you this evidence of love from this community to you, for you to keep. I love you, Jessica, and I appreciate so much the practice that you have had over the years in our relationship. We've been through a lot, and we have always come out on the other end being beautiful, joyful, grounded in Dhamma, and love for each other. I'm going to hand you this certificate, and with the acknowledgement of you as I can't say it. You are now Portland Friends of the Dhamma's spiritual director. I'd like all of us, please join me in offering Jessica a sadhu. Sadhu, 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 anumodami. I just think this is something worth celebrating. Please stay and help us clean this up. That's it. Now we're on to part 3.
Don't ever do that again. Do you know how long it takes to vacuum this part?
We got it covered. We got it covered. You do not have to do it. So I introduce to you Portland Friends of the Dhamma Spiritual Director, Jessica Swanson.
Somebody mentioned fun, but then here it was demonstrated. As you know, that I like to have fun. And my recommendation is to always bring fun and joy into the work that we do together. And because of the work that we do together, the fun is also, it's beautiful, and it's dignified, and it's community-oriented, and it's loving, and we quite seem to enjoy ourselves when we get together to work and support each other. So, people moving into this role, people will often say, well, I don't know when they're coming to see me or ask me something or have a Dhamma conversation. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. And my answer is always, this is my favorite thing to do, is to be in community with people who are doing the work. That's it. And so I'm privileged to be here and to have been supported all these many years along the way by friends and family and monastics and community and upasikas and volunteers and Dansky and Sakula, who might as well be family. One of good family, one of my good family. So thank you very much. And I wonder, should we take like so we will move into the next part of our day long, which gives you the opportunity to hear from some of our new board members and to find out a little bit more about our vision for programming and for projects this year and for community. But I think it would be nice just to take a few minute break, move your bodies if you need to use the restroom. If you're under 14 and need to get the heck out of here, now's a good time to do that. But let's just take a quick body break and resume again at 2:15 or so. Yeah? Okay. Or whenever the venerables come back.
Most of you probably know me as the person who greets you at the door on Sunday, and when I say welcome, I'm glad you're here, thanks for coming, I really mean that. I really do. Because you've made a choice to do something that is really wonderful. You've come to a place where you can hear the Dhamma spoken, you can learn, and when you leave here, you can take that with you and let it guide your actions and let it be the driving force in your daily life. That's no small thing. It really isn't. But there's no guarantees. This place exists because of the community that came before us. It exists because we support the place. And it will exist in the future if we continue to provide support. So I'm here to announce the kickoff of our season of Dhamma, our annual opportunity for folks who are so moved to provide support, financial and otherwise, to keep our doors open. And it is absolutely voluntary and based on your desire or lack of desire to do so. We call it the fundraiser, but there are many, many ways to support this center, and not all of them involve writing a check. There's always things that we need to do around here. People have a lot of skill, and if Portland Friends of the Dhamma means so much to you that you want it to continue, then this is a time and a way that you can do that. And I have no tote bags for anybody. But many of the folks here that are on the board and on committees are here to tell you what the programs and plans they have for the next year are. So I would very much like to hand this microphone off to somebody before I really say something stupid. And I'm not sure who the next person that gets it is, but whoever is the next person, here it is. What I would like to do is
welcome Lake and Jessica to the Friendships, talk about their roles here and why they.
yes, please welcome Lake and Jessica for their roles and responsibilities and ideas and help and all that good stuff.
Thank you, Jim. You want me to go first? Okay. Hello, friends, Monastics. My name's Lake. I'm newly on the board, so I think we'll still be kind of figuring out what my role is. But I did want to say very briefly that when I was kind of thinking about speaking, a couple different words and concepts came into my mind. And this is, as I was thinking, as I was asked to talk a little bit about, why am I serving on the board, and kind of thinking ahead as Jessica's coming into her role as the spiritual director, what I can do in a small way to support that. So the first word that came into my mind was karma and gratitude. And I have a lot of gratitude that my past actions have led me to the Thai forest tradition of Buddhism, and specifically to the Ajahn Chah lineage. And it's a long, winding road, but I must have done something right when I was young at some point in some life somewhere. Because it's a very precious thing that's not everywhere available in this country that we live in, this place that we live in. So I have a lot of gratitude that I found my way here, and that there is a place to come and practice and to draw near to the monastics and to hear real live Dhamma talks. I do appreciate all the wealth of information on YouTube, but there's something about being in the presence of monastics that is extremely encouraging and supporting. The next concept that came to my mind is that everything is undependable. And it feels very, I don't want to take anything for granted. The monasteries that are in this country and in Canada and England, and there's so much groundedness and history, and yet it also, don't take anything for granted. Don't take Portland Friends of the Dhamma for granted, is kind of how I feel. Nothing is dependable, but I can do what I can to support it and hope that it will grow, because it really supports me in a very, very deep and meaningful way. The other word that came to me, there's only a couple, this isn't long, is dana, and how generosity of spirit is so rewarding. And as I was thinking about Dhamma, I was listening to some of the talks that were taking place at the celebration of Longpo Sumedho's birthday, and heard a term that I hadn't really heard or knew about, Pati Pati Puja, which I just was like, wow, I love that. So, because to me that's really what Portland Friends of the Dhamma is so important. It's important to pay the rent, keep the lights on, you know, do all the things that we support our spiritual director. The most important giving is to show up and practice that. And so that's one of the things I want to encourage as a board member, is that is central to everything here, is that giving of practice and how it ripples out into the community to people that we encounter that don't know that we're Buddhists, but they benefit from it and we benefit from it. And then I'll just close by saying, I'm on the cleaning committee, and I clean once a month. I organize a very fun cleaning party, so please join those. We do a lot of vacuuming. And I'm also really interested in our library, our free library, which is such benefit. And so helping organize that and, you know, continue to bring new materials and resources. There's so much we can do, but I just, you know, here I am as a board member, as a member of the community. I'm very excited to support the community, support Jessica in her new role, and so please look for me if you want to you have a project that you want to do. You'd like to rake the leaves along the building or sweep the steps before Sunday Sila, or organize a carpool down to Abhayagiri, or whatever it is. I encourage you to participate in any way that feels good to you. So thank you, and thank you for this day, for the wonderful Dhamma.
Hi, I'm another Jessica. I think there are now 3 of us. Who knows? There may be more. And I am honored to serve on the board, and I will fulfill the role of secretary. So spelling errors, misprints, anything, you can turn towards me. Don't go to Jessica. Don't blame that Jessica. Come to this Jessica. I'll own it fine and dandy. I am delighted to just have this opportunity to support our community. I am a people person, and I am so, so grateful. And I'm also a crier, but it's, I think the thing that just knocks my socks off is it's only been 3 years, a little over 3 years, since I even came into contact with PFOD. And that takes my breath away, because it is that reminder that life turns on a dime, and sometimes it's a beautiful turn. You know, we often talk about just the quickness with which things can happen in life, and oftentimes it's associated with a loss or just a tremendous change that can be overwhelming. And this was a tremendous change that was the most beautiful overwhelm I've ever experienced. I mean, truly. And so to now be on the board and be in this role to really, you know, in some ways it'll give me that people opportunity where I'm happy to go up to someone and say, hey, I haven't seen you before. And they look at me and they say, well, I met you 2 weeks ago. I'm like, that's okay. I'm glad you're back. So, so it's kind of like that cheat, you know, that free pass to do that. But also I want to share in that start 3 years ago, one of the things that drew me to this particular place, this particular energy is I came in, we were just beginning to take baby steps, we, the community, Portland, out of COVID. And I think it was the first public gathering that Jessica had around the practice of metta. What a beautiful way to come back. And I had not come to the center before, and Michael, my husband, was like, do you really want to do that? You don't know anyone? They don't know you? And I'm like, you know, we kind of watched online. I think it'll be okay. And I kind of came through the front door. No one was right around. There were cushions and things. And Jim probably was greeting, but maybe he was downstairs. And I went downstairs to the kitchen. People I'd never seen, and they turned to me, and they didn't have any looks of surprise or anything. They're just like, "Oh, hi, you must be here for the metta. Oh, we're just we're getting ready." And just, it was like the invisible hug. It was like someone reached an arm out and just said, "Oh yeah, come on in." And that sense of ease and welcome, I hope that we can continue as a community to always extend that and make everyone that steps through the door, from their first contact with Jim or any of us, to when we do meal offerings with the monastics, when we have opportunities to learn and to give, it is that grounding in the Dhamma. Is it beautiful? How does this work in with the Brahma Viharas? How does this speak to my practice of the precepts? I mean, there's so many ways now I feel like my eyes and my life have been open to this beautiful, beautiful practice, this beautiful tradition. And I just hope that we all can continue to help that bloom and grow. We've had that under Sakula and Alistair as her wonderful partner. We get that now with Jessica, and we know the secret background of Todd. And certainly we have the amazing guidance and roles of Abhayagiri, our kind of home base, the Pacific Hermitage under Ajahn Siddhanto. I mean, we are so blessed, and I just hope that we can all continue in that capacity, and I'm just so grateful to be here to help with that. And I will do a final plug on the Dana front. Whether it is just coming and being, please don't be shy. And if you have the opportunity to give financially, of course, that's wonderful. We still have to keep the lights on. We'd like to clean the carpets kind of thing. But truly, 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 just being here and helping this community grow and helping others learn about us and continue to nurture and expand is just amazing. And I have confidence we'll continue to set a pace.
Hi, Alistair. Would you like to speak about our building?
So if Kristen was here, this would be Kristen. I haven't got the hair for it, but she is at a wedding of our niece. So she asked if I could say some things specifically about the building. And I can. And Lake was talking about karma, and one of the things I enjoy about helping out with the building is sometimes karma can feel complicated or ambiguous, but this place is not ambiguous, and it is squarely, as I've said before, on the intersection of 25th and karma. It's a physical place, but it is manifest here because of people's skillful actions, their good intentions. And you can come down here on a weekend and you can do good in the world, right? And you can come down the next weekend and you can do good in the world again. And it's a 100-year-old building. There's no lack of things you can do. And that's completely true. I mean, the number of places where you think, I can go and do something unambiguously good for the world. And you don't have to think, well, do I know enough about Dhamma? Do I know enough about the community? You can sweep, you can operate a screwdriver, and you can be part of this place. You know, and people you know, people you don't know will benefit from that. It's a very moving thing, really. And as part of that, I'm going to talk a little bit about when we bought this. What we had before was a mission. These are the things we're setting out. And what we got when we bought the building was our ability to have a vision, to actually be able to describe a specific example of our mission succeeding. And, you know, we've had that forever. I should have memorized it by now, but I'm going to read it out anyway. And so this is, once we had a building, we could envisage, what would this look like? We envision a city refuge where we as lay people can set aside our worldly burdens within a community that nurtures virtue, contentment, and calm, such that wisdom can arise. We aim to provide support for the personal exploration into the Buddha's teachings, guidance in training our minds, and direct contact with monastics from the lineage of Ajahn Chah. And finally, we envision a community of mutual support and companionship as we strive to apply these teachings in our daily lives and walk the Eightfold Path. And it's possible to have that kind of specific vision because we've got a place where we can have companionship, where we can come into contact with the monks, where we can create an environment where we can set aside our worldly burdens. So I want to encourage people to look around as they're moving around the building and think, what could I do? Maybe I should call Kristen. Next time there's a work party, maybe I should come down and do some unequivocal good for the world. And I think you will end up enjoying it. And then there are specifics about owning a 100-year-old building. There are specific things that need to be fixed or mended, and electrics that need to be done. So feel free to contribute financially. And over time, you will be able to do what I can do, which is look around this room and go, I know who gave that cherry chest. I know who gave that lamp, that picture, these chairs, most of these cushions, the Buddha, that picture, that table, the mics, the laptop, the camera, all came from different people. And you come up here and you go, you know, this really is karma. This is the consequence of all these good actions. And you can be part of woven into that. So that's my take on the building. And Kristen will be sending out emails, and there will be work parties. And I encourage you to come. Just remember, unequivocal good in the world.
Thank you. So our new board this year is Jim. He is the chair, and as secretary, Jessica M. Lake, board member, helping out with assistant secretary, and Tom Luckett. Where are you? Tom Luckett, treasurer. Looking for an assistant treasurer and a treasurer in training. That's Tom. If that's you, talk to Tom. And me. I'm on the board. I'm a board member. Before we close this afternoon with a chant and maybe a couple more words. I don't know that we had a lot, but it peters out at the end a little bit. I just want to say also that something that we're looking at this year is expanding our programming. So I've been talking to a lot of people about what they would like to see happen here, what would benefit them, what kinds of classes would be good, what kinds of long periods of silent sitting we can work in. And I'd really like to be able to do that. I think we'd all like to be able to offer and participate in more programming, more robust programming, and just some time, more time to be together, meditating and practicing the Dhamma. We have our, yes, sir.
How much to expand programming, say to add an extra program during the week, how much?
So we're kind of looking at it this way. At the beginning of the year, No Rank Zendo, who had been here for actually 10 years or something like that, they were our biggest renter and contributor, and they were contributing $1,000 a month. And then they left in January, and we got this wonderful donation that kind of bridged that gap through now, essentially summer, the beginning of summer. And so to give it a whirl, I think to give it a good go at expanding programming without, kind of outreaching to renters again, it would be about $1,000 a month. So I'm thinking over a year, about $12,000 would be lovely. Yeah. They met twice a week, and they did day-longs, many Saturdays. So and they rented the little office downstairs. So they had a really robust. $1,000. It does a lot, yeah. Yes, it would really allow us to keep like at least 2 nights a week open and a Saturday open, which is huge. Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so we've had a kind of a multifaceted day, very rich, very delightful, and this is the end. This is the close of the day. Tomorrow, Sunday Sila, and and Jessica's first solo flight. So we'll just wrap it up with a chant, a blessing chant. It's one that we do as monastics in different ceremonies. It is actually titled as the Buddha's victory chant. So it's like, and of course the Buddha's victory is victory over greed, hatred, delusion, and so that's the great victory, and sort of that sort of is both a chant that sort of delights in the goodness that's been done, but also recollects the okay, what's the focus, and keep it on that sense of delighting in all the different things that have happened, but then also remind ourselves to keep practicing. Okay, so we'll do the chant. Chayano bodhiya mule sakyanang nandi vandano evangdawa vichayo ho hijaya sujaya mangale apalajita palange sise bhadavi bhokale abhiseke sababunda Nangagabato pamodati sunakata sumangalang supapatang suhoditang sukano sumohoto jasuyedang brahmachari supandakinang gaya kamang vaja kamang bandakinang mano Vanidete pandakina Nikhatva nalabandhate Padakine. We can pay respects to the Triple J.
Perfectly enlightened and blessed one, I render homage to the Buddha, the blessed one. The teachings so completely explained by him, I bow to the Dhamma. The blessed one's disciples who have practiced well, I bow